How's the lady doing the traveling? Oh, you just,
Okay, everyone, welcome to the special council meeting of December 29th. It's 9 a.m. We'll call the meeting to order. First on the agenda, Pat.
Our new hire accepted the position, but he asked us if we would give him, instead of 40 hours of vacation, 68. Match, it'd be half of what he's getting right now through the county. So he asked us if we would meet him halfway, and that'd be 68 hours.
that's a fairly normal request from a person coming from another agency.
I thought so, and
Yeah,
I
and
thought
I
it
guess
was,
how
it was
much-
fairly fair. You know, he just said he'd split it in half.
Split it in half?
Yep.
Okay. I'm good with that. I don't have a problem with it. That's acceptable practice for a new person coming in from another agency.
All right, just gotta have a motion from all you guys, and then,
He requested more money after his interview too, didn't he?
no, not money, just because we offered him what we had set it up at. He was fine with the pay, it was just the vacation he wanted to make up the
Okay.
difference on.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve it, at least 40 hours of it. Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Sandy, you can hear and you're good?
Yes?
I'm sorry,
Can you
Aaron,
hear
what was
me?
your motion?
To approve giving him the additional vacation time.
Okay.
And I second?
Okay, you got to do a roll call, huh? Sure.
Marcia?
No.
Dave?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes?
Motion carries.
Okay, Jake, now it's your turn. The trend is happening.
All right, good morning. I'm here today to discuss our empty police officer position and filling that with somebody that we interviewed last week. As you guys know, we've been looking to hire a new officer. I think about 2 months before Chief Lee retired, we put an ad out there for new officers, and so far this has only been our fourth applicant we've received. And only the second one we've interviewed. If you remember, after we interviewed the first one, we were going to hire him, and he took a look at the wages in the area and ultimately changed his mind not to come and work for us because of that. Right now, I'm asking that we hire this gentleman that we interviewed last week. He's got plenty of good experience, 3 years as an officer. He's got lots of training that's worth thousands of dollars. And then with his experience, there won't be as much training with that as well. The problem is where he's working currently, they're going to get a big pay increase coming up in January, like an 18% pay increase. And that's going to put him up to what our current, on our current scale, it's step 6. And we won't get him through the door unless we start him at step 6 of our current pay scale. So first, I'm asking if we hire a new officer, could we start him at step 6? And would we be willing to do that?
Typically, if we hire an officer right out of technical school, green, we start them at step 1.
Correct.
What is the pay at step 1?
You know, I don't have our current scale here, I'm sorry.
It's 27,
25, 25,
27, 29.
And then if we
Thank you,
go to
Marcia.
step 6, Marcia, do you know what that is?
3147.
Is this candidate that's interviewing, is he familiar with the area here?
yes. Yeah, he lives over by Pequot Lake, so.
Jake?
Yeah.
Yes, Sandy. Hi.
Well, I'm just wondering if this will create any kind of like resentment or friction with the current officers.
I think they want help just as much as we all want help here. We're getting worn out. I'm pushing guys all over the place to cover shifts. I'm putting our day guys on night shifts so people can have their vacations. I've had to deny vacations quite a bit lately, quite a few days, I should say, and, you know, I think they're gonna wanna eventually be where he's at, and I think maybe that's something we should discuss very soon. I thought we could discuss it here, but I don't think we can because it wasn't on the agenda. My initial thought was to place Pat, Officer Martin, and Officer Haynes at that same step right now and just wait till the next negotiations, and then you guys can hash everything out, like finalize it. But, you know, maybe that is a conversation for next week at the regular council meeting, just to get them in the same spot until. But as far as resentment, no, I think they understand the process. I think they're mature enough to accept the fact that it is what it is.
Sandy, I think that domino effect has already started, so
Right.
if we say that it's not going to affect it, we're kidding ourselves.
Yeah, I mean,
we got to accept the fact that.
they're going to want, they're going to want pay rate. Everyone
This is still employed, isn't it?
wants it, but as far as resentment or anything like that, I think they understand how it goes. So hopefully, but hopefully we can get everybody the same and make it fair here very, very shortly.
So he'll be making more than what some officers we have on.
Correct. And I wanted to ask that we just put them all at that
Oh,
same
you want to
level.
move everybody up?
Just the other two.
Oh,
So Jake,
But I don't know that we can talk about that. Yes,
so
ma'am.
Jake, I have a question for you. So are you looking at the 2023 scale or the 2024?
I
Oh.
cited 2024.
Yeah, I think I glanced at the 2023 scale when I started.
Yeah, because he wouldn't be starting until sometime in January anyway, so step 6 on the 2024 scale is 3147.
Correct. Oh, maybe, yeah,
Thank you.
you're right.
That's what I stated.
Yes, it was. Yep.
Well, my
I'll-
opinion is that, well, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sandy.
I was just going to say that given our difficulty in trying to recruit officers and the evident need of your force, Jake, I'm leaning towards saying yes to this.
Thank you. If I could give you a few statistics that just might help you understand what we're looking at. So, just in Region 5 alone, which is a 14-county region, there's 22 departments with full-time police officer positions that are open. The average starting pay is $31.39 an hour. Officer resignations are up to 47%, and retirement is up 19% in the last year. Everybody's going with everybody has the same problem, and if we get somebody that's willing to come here, like this gentleman who lives in the area, loves the area, and, especially keep them here, that's gonna be the draw. So I think it's important that we look at everything overall.
And I think you said numerous times that the other officers are in support of this as well, correct?
Correct. Yeah,
Because
like
they're
I
all going
said,
to get a pay raise.
Well, I'm mainly talking about just getting the one here
Yeah, I'm just saying.
initially, but yes, that's kind of heir apparent, Marcia.
Yeah.
if you wanna look, this,
Well, I think I've heard enough. I'll make a motion that we make him that offer at $31.47 an hour.
But what are you doing with the rest of them?
Huh?
What are you doing with the rest of them?
Let me finish the motion. And I make a motion that January 8th, we discussed bringing the other officers up to the same pay scale, because it's not on this agenda, like you said. That's the only reason, or otherwise I'd include it.
I'll second that.
Okay, any other discussion on it? Go ahead, Chair.
Jackson,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Sandy,
Yes,
Marcia.
Yes.
Motion carries.
thank you.
Did you mean,
We appreciate it.
Aaron, did you mean the 4th, or did we change something?
No, on the 8th.
Oh, the 8th,
At our-
okay,
at our
sorry.
regular-
Was
Yes,
that, was that
okay.
motion to
Okay.
hire him at that, or just to hire a new officer at that, or do we need to do another motion to actually offer a
Well,
conditional
I
job
think-
offer?
I think this is
Okay.
the one we're discussing, so we need to keep it to that.
Conditional
and
job
then
offer?
January
Yep,
8th.
okay,
Okay, thank you, Jackson.
Thank you.
Should have clarified.
Are your emails there?
Thanks, Jake.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Mine are
Okay.
gone this morning.
Number 4 is discuss fire chief salary, and I'm going to turn that over to Sandy to begin with.
Mine
Well,
I have to get.
at this point, I think everyone can agree that Chip he's already working full-time hours. We've promised him full-time. I think I'd like to suggest that we offer him $84,000 a year with full benefits and take it from there.
Aaron?
Well, am I going to second that?
No?
We're just
Do you have anything
discussing.
to add to it?
Oh, no. Oh, I thought she made a motion. I'm sorry.
No?
That's why I was being
No,
so
I'm-
quiet.
Yeah. I'm just throwing out I'm just saying what my opinion is.
Okay, so it's an opinion. I agree with her. He is full-time. I believe that we need to accommodate that, but I think we need to accommodate what today's salaries are, and 84 is not today's salary. Today's salary for this area, for this size of a city, okay, at 5,000 and under, starts at 88 and goes to 108. He's got 17 years of experience with us. I think we need to meet him somewhere higher than 84. 94? I'll put that in there.
Aaron, just to correct you, 27 years of experience.
I'm sorry, 27 years. I think you've been chief for 17 or more.
13.
13. Okay,
Assistant chief for 10 years before that.
okay. But a long time is what I'm getting at. You've been here a long time, okay? And I think that does need to be accommodated. 27 years, 13 as chief, I think we need to pay it, and I think we need to be at that mid-90 range.
Where are you at?
That's discussion.
Next.
It's not personal against Chip at all. It's not personal against the fire department, but I'm still at 70,000. I don't think we need to necessarily venture into a full-time fire chief position yet. That's where I stand, and the highest I would go is 70.
Okay, Marcia.
Well,
Go ahead.
Jackson, we already moved to make him full-time. So,
Well, what we had talked about, you guys had moved. I did not move that. That was a 3 versus 2 vote. That was not.
okay. I understand it. I'm just saying it passed, so that's where
Yep,
we are.
That's okay. I mean, if the three of you want to crusade it across the finish line, that's fine. That's the way, that's the way government works. But I'm just stating where I'm at. And like I said, it's not personal against Chip and it's not personal against the fire department. I'm thankful for what they do, but I just feel like it's not time in the city's interest to go down a full-time fire chief position yet. Marcia?
Okay, Marcia.
I'm not in agreement with the full-time fire chief either. I think a community this size, there's not another community out there in a population under 5,000 that have a full-time fire chief. And if you do go this route and pass it, I wouldn't go over 70.
I mean, if we want to, I know it's wanting to go full-time, and that's not necessarily my hunch. I wouldn't mind offering a $70,000 stipend back to the stipend system. I would not mind that. But I'm not going to vote for 94 or 84. I'm at 70.
So,
Well, I mean, one thing that maybe isn't being taken into consideration is all the extra things that Chip does. I mean, as far as, every event that we hold, the parades, Cross Lake Days, all of it. I mean, he and his employees do a lot of work for the city other than just fighting fires.
Correct, but they get paid time or on-call fire time for that, I believe.
Yeah.
That doesn't need to be salaried. They get paid for that already.
So if we go to a full-time fire chief, will that include calls and training in that salary?
Yes, it would. He would include attending calls, he would include doing the training, he would include the part. One of the things I like about him being the fire chief is the fact that we get cutting-edge training to our people here in this city. And with that cutting-edge training, we get to find out if the stuff works or doesn't work, because he's the one that does the training extensively throughout the state. Also, I think we're forgetting about the grant that he, I believe, has already gotten. Have you gotten that grant?
Which one?
Well, the wildfire training,
Oh, that's in progress right now, yeah.
that's in progress.
Yep.
What's the likelihood? I'm just going to ask
Well,
that.
we received the grant to write the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. That's in the process. It's
So
gonna
you're
be-
in the writing the plan now?
and we're writing the plan right now.
Yeah. That has the potential to bring in a lot of money to this city, to our businesses, bring in people that are going to be staying at hotels, eating at restaurants, spending monies here at our place. And it's not nickels and dimes that's coming in. This is thousands and thousands of dollars. So I think we need to look a little broader. Okay?
Well taken.
And I think we need to look ahead as well. I mean, once we have the Loon Center in, we're going to be dealing with a, influx of many more people.
Well, it's better for our businesses. It's better for our community
Right.
in that respect, because we have a lot of short-term rentals. It'll keep them in people coming in. It'll bring people to the restaurants, bars, every place. So I guess
Chip, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Right now, working hourly, with the hours that you work, what are you bringing in annually?
As of the end of November, I was at 67,499.
You are a good numbers guy. You're up on top of it. Let me add a couple things to this, if I can. I was really on the fence with this whole proposal, and I'm very hopeful that the city will come up with a short-term rental proposal this next year. I think we can do the inspections through the fire department. That's going to offset some of the wages, because that is going to be in your job description, Chip, I think. You've agreed to that? So I don't see really any additional cost to the city other than the benefit package. So I would support Sandy's proposal, start it out initially at that and see where it goes.
That's fine. I just want to make it clear once again, it's small town USA here. Everybody's passionate about everything. It's not personal. It's just my general consensus, and the people that I've talked to don't feel we need a full-time fire chief quite yet. So I just want to make that clear that it's not personal, Chip. I can look at you and say that. It's not against the fire department at all. I just want to make that clear.
But there's no question that the city of Cross Lake is going to
We're going to grow,
be
yes.
the leader of the surrounding communities, I mean, and so for us just to take that position, I think is a good thing. I mean, it's here, it's right in our lap. So Sandy, I'm going to ask you to make a motion. Will you do that?
Yes, I make a motion that we pay Chip $84,000 a year with benefits and start commencing, I guess, in January.
So,
Do you have to go with the union, blah, 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 blah? I know, but we were told you are automatically union, is what we were told.
Yes, you are.
Yes, that's what,
Labor attorney said you're automatic. Yep.
she said even if you don't want the union, she said the union's gonna step in with you. You might not have to pay your dues, but we're gonna, and I'm not going against the union, I'm just saying
I'm
what she
just
told us.
telling you that most fire chiefs are not union.
Okay.
Because they're not full-time.
I think we had the AFSCME representative at a meeting of several months ago come and say that employees do have the choice whether or not to join a union. That is exactly what Troy.
You have a choice of paying union dues.
No,
That's
you
it.
have a choice to be in the union or not. That's old.
That's what I recall. I mean, that's what I recall.
If that is old, that you used to have the choice to pay union dues are old, that's old. That has changed. they now have a choice to be in a union or not.
Actually, that changed quite a while ago, because we had several in Blaine did not want to be members of the union. They weren't allowed to attend union meetings. They weren't allowed to.
They
do
didn't have a
anything.
vote?
No vote.
They still had to pay,
No, they did not pay any union dues.
but they had no vote.
No vote, nothing. No say in anything that took place. And that's been that way since before I retired.
So,
If I had my emails, but they're gone, I could reference the labor attorney's comment about that. And unfortunately, this morning, all my city emails are gone.
I would question the validity of that.
We know more than the
So-
attorneys. Okay.
as long as we're discussing this, if you remember, so back on July 6th, the council discussed this same issue at a special meeting. July 11th, my understanding is the new labor attorney sent out wage requests to a number of municipalities. Has that been received is one question. July 14th, I was directed to get wages, which I did, provided that to you. August 14th, there was a regular council meeting, wages were
Mike.
not discussed.
Can we get a second?
Get a second, and then we'll finish this.
Aaron, are you going to second
Yeah,
that?
I'll second it. I wanted to get this discussion to continue.
Okay, thank you. And so, and as you stated, two council members, Marcia and Jackson, you're not in favor of the full-time. But we approved a full-time fire chief, so I did get wages. I looked at salary data from the 2022 salary survey from the League of Minnesota Cities, and, which was 2022 data. And my numbers show for the sample that in the populations of less than 5,000, the range minimum was 88,320. The range max was 108. Everyone less than 10,000 was 94,497. The median was 98,9. The max was 109,940. For the group 15 and below the range went down a little bit on the low end. The minimum was 92. The median was 101. The range high was 112. And so back in late fall of this year, a new league study came out, new data was provided showing only 2023 data. So I looked at the population size from 2,000 to 5,000. There were 3 respondents in the study. The actual average for those 3 respondents was 98.8. The range minimum was 88,192. The median was 96,886, and the range max was 115 for full-time fire chief.
Your sample size was 3, and you keep on saying that's not a good enough sample size.
And I agree with that, and I'm just about done here. So I raised the sample size to between 2,000 and 10,000 in population, and I got a sample size of 15. The actual average in that range was 113,000. The range minimum was 100,000 in round numbers. The median was 112, and the range was 122,886. And just because in prior years, when we've always done labor negotiations to get enough population, there really hasn't been a lot of change between if you go from a 10,000 population to a 15,000 population. And I came up with a sample size of 25. The actual average went from 112,944 with the 10,000 to 113,714. The range minimum actually went down for a larger sample size. It went from the 10,000 population ranged from 100,000 down to 98,000. The median went down $1,000, and the range maximum stayed virtually the same. So the point is, I have more confidence in a sample size of 25, way more than I do of 3, and it yielded virtually the same results of a sample size of 15. So with all due respect, the proposal that you have is quite a ways below market from what I'm seeing.
Mike,
Yeah,
Mike, it's become very clear that our salaries are probably below average. But a lot of what we offer is our environment, our fabulous city, all that we have to offer. And right now, we're offering Chip an increase from 67,000 to 84 plus benefits. And I just think it's a good place to start. I mean, and I give Chip all the credit, he probably is worth, maybe he's worth more, probably is. But right now, this is, gauging the climate of, our community, et cetera. I just think it's a fair offer right now.
okay, understood. The other thing we need to consider too is, and I'm not advocating one way or another, I think it's just a good information to know, is that the service area that our fire department covers, not including the service area that we have under fire contract, today we're covering $2.4 billion of taxable market value. And so what happens is when, that's 13% of Crow Wing County, and if I were to go to compare some of these other communities in our direct peer area, we're at least double the value that's being covered. The way that works is when you pay your homeowner's insurance, there's a fee, a surcharge fee that's reported to the Commissioner of Revenue. And the Commissioner of Revenue looks at that value of the insurance, and part of that gets rebated back to the city to help pay for the fire department. It's state aid. So as your market value goes up, that number goes up too, is the point.
Mr. Linus, it's clear that you're lobbying for a higher one. We are
No,
trying to get
I'm not
out of.
lobbying for a clear
Well,
anything.
it-
Please
it-
let me finish, Mr. Mayor. I'm just stating facts.
Okay, this is just
These are
going on a long
indisputable.
time. Okay, go ahead.
Right.
We've heard them all
Say
before,
we've,
but go
Mike,
ahead.
not to insult you, we've heard this numerous times.
Okay.
I get where you're coming
Okay,
from.
thank you for that acknowledgement.
Are you done?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, Sandy has made a motion, seconded by Aaron. I think, I'm just going to add to it that I think out of the gate, it's doubling what your income is now when you look at the benefit package. So I think it's a good starting point. I support that, and we'll see where it goes, especially with the short-term rentals.
Can you
Are you going to pull a
explain-
vote on it?
Let's have more discussion, please. When you talk about calls and daytime hours, so you're saying that anytime I go over 40 hours, I just have to keep going, right? That's based off a 40-hour work week, correct?
That's correct.
So when I do 80 hours, I'm still getting paid for the 40, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's kind of up to you to schedule your time, It's kind of a floating schedule.
But I don't know when we're going to have the 10-hour house fire.
Well, no, but you're Monday through Friday and your activities during the week, you can adjust for that.
Like I do now.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of up to you. It's got to be you're in charge of your schedule.
Chip, to be fair, I wasn't saving lives, but maybe in a way it was. But when I was in education, believe me, I worked twice as many hours as I got paid than my salary indicated. Sometimes that's just the way it works. You're highly committed to your job, as was I, and
I understand, Sandy. I was just asking the question.
And I
Yeah,
guess,
okay.
I don't know if it's necessary to add to that motion, but I don't know that I would require Chip to be behind the desk 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday.
No, absolutely not. You
I
can't-
think this is
that's not
his
position.
schedule to do, so.
He does, Wednesdays they do training. There's all kinds of stuff that floats everywhere.
Right, but that's independent. So I think we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
I think we're low. I'm going to state it
Okay,
straight
you
up.
said that.
Okay?
Do you want to put it higher then?
Yes, I would like to see it higher. But that motion started with Sandy, and that's where it should come from.
Go ahead. It's up to you.
Discussion done?
Shar, are you going to call for a vote?
Yeah, the only thing I'd add to that, Aaron, is this is getting out of the gate, starting, we'll see where it goes. Yeah, go ahead.
Dave?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes?
Marcia?
No,
Jackson?
No.
Motion carries.
Okay, Chip, that was a long-fought war. See where it goes.
Could you restate the proposed salary, or the approved salary?
$84,000 plus benefits.
Okay, moving on. Number 5 is to discuss the Michelle Soldo report that the city had done.
Does Chip have to accept that, or how does that work?
No,
Is that,
he's got time to think.
okay.
Okay, so next is discuss the report from Michelle Soldo that the city had done on the environment of the city, I guess I'd call it.
So everybody's not going to like this, but I'm just going to start off the conversation. I thought the report, as I told Michelle right off the bat, was not accurate in representing most information. Anything I suggested to her was not on the report. Granted, the redacted version of the subject at hand that I don't think we could talk about at this meeting, yes, I do agree there needs to be improvement. Do I agree to all that was said about this person? Not necessarily. So I honestly don't think we can necessarily give an honest judgment off this report. I thought going into the gate, it was going to all be public. That got flip-flopped and changed. Once again, none of my information was in that report anywhere. Aaron?
No, nothing I said to Michelle Saldo was in that report. It was like I didn't exist. I'm frustrated with it. There's blatant misinformation that came out from it that are lies and misinformation 100%, which taints the entire report. So the report, in my opinion, is completely tainted and of no value to us to evaluate or do anything from other than the training. I'll grant the training needs to happen. But no, this report is not of value. I think every person that was interviewed has to get a copy unredacted to see if their information was in there anywhere. Because I think the information is going to come that report was based on from a very small number of persons that spoke with her. And I think it's going to be completely biased in that respect. I'm done.
Aaron, I'm wondering if, well, number one, I don't know why she would have any reason to be less than objective. But number two, I mean, I don't know her other than the interviews we did. But number two, perhaps what she included were only those things that she felt needed to be addressed, and not necessarily, I mean, I said a lot of things that weren't in there either, but they weren't things that, indicated any kind of need for change or,
But
help.
Sandy, when 3 of the council members are not represented in a report, that tells you that the report is not valid. You can't have 60% of the council not represented in it and have it be valid. How?
No, I'm just saying that the things that maybe that you found missing were items that she didn't feel needed to be addressed because they weren't, they were positive. She was mainly trying to find ways to help us where we, were lacking or needed help.
But it became very directed report, and things that did need to be covered, Sandy, are not in that report.
Okay, well, I don't know what you said to her, so I have no way of judging that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's my personal opinion, and I think everybody that was interviewed has a legal right to that report, and I think they should get it.
I agree.
I don't disagree with that. Did you ever have a phone call with her and challenge her on any of that at all?
No, I didn't, Dave. I was so frustrated when I read it, I thought, if I call her up, my frustration will show, and that shouldn't. I need to stop and go from there. Okay? So, and I understand, maybe I should have, Dave. Maybe I should
We as
have,
a council should question
But,
if it was.
but I think it was,
Is that a response to the report? Her leaving?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, Shar, I didn't catch that.
Is that a response to the report that she's leaving?
No, her brother-in-law just passed away.
Oh, my God.
I'm sorry, I can't hear with the conversation.
Marcia just left the meeting because her brother-in-law passed away.
Oh, my.
She said she was good. Oh, yeah.
That's
You
sad.
get it.
That's sad. I didn't know that.
He was on the fence, but
Okay.
I have one thing to say. Number 2 on the assessment says there was a threefold objective to doing this. And C, under that, is public transparency. Public transparency. There are pages of this report that are redacted. How are we supposed to improve ourselves when we can't even read it because there's pages of it redacted? This cannot be all confidential information. I mean, confidential information, from what she said that night, I thought was going to be names.
And I'm not putting you on the spot, but I think when we all started this, when I first started this, when I first came in here in January, was to improve that and to have a one-on-one with everybody and get over this. So then we decided to do this. And I asked for public transparency and that it needed to be public data, and that did not happen. This report was a total sham. And it got folded on. When I talked to said person, it got blamed on you and you, because it got blamed on that. That's why we had to hold it private. And we all knew, I don't know if that has any legal standing or what that is, but I'm just saying, that's what I was told is she knew we wanted it public. She did not tell me when we went into this that she was gonna fully redact it and hide it because of employer privacy, and then it got redacted and you two got thrown under the bus.
well, I think because of data practice, I mean, isn't that the reason they?
But she should have told me that when we voted for this,
Yeah.
or else I wouldn't have done this.
I would say the report made relationships absolutely worse, and the point of it was to make things better.
I fully agree. I fully feel like it flopped, and my wanting to mend all this stuff and get it better has totally failed.
Well, we haven't even begun acting on any of her, I mean, how can you say it's failed? We haven't done anything yet.
How can you act on it when Aaron's stuff was not in there, my stuff was not in there? How can you act on any of
How
that?
can we act on it when we can't read it?
Right, you can't, it's all
I can't
black.
read it. I don't know what any of it is. And I know for a fact that what she said out loud at that meeting that night, it wasn't true. So I don't know if what it was written in the report is even true. I can't respond to it.
Is this being recorded here?
Yes.
I mean, I want Susan and Michelle to both watch this discussion.
And Michelle still
Dave,
has
can
not
you-
responded to my email that I sent her, asking her where that information came from,
Because-
that she said out loud at that meeting.
I agree with you too, Dave.
We can't answer this stuff. We need to have them here, and they're not here.
So I think the council feels, I'm getting the opinion that the council feels that the report did not accomplish what we went into it thinking it would. And I think we need to understand in the future, we need to work far more.
Aaron, can you
with the
speak
League of
up? I
Minnesota
can't hear
Cities.
you.
I'm sorry, what?
Talk in your
Can you
mic.
speak up, please? I
I'm
can't
sorry,
hear you.
Sandy. I think, I don't, the report did not accomplish what we were looking to do and to accomplish. We wanted to bring staff and council closer together, and we moved them further apart. We didn't bring them together with this report. So our goal was not accomplished. I don't think the report has validity. I agree with Dave saying that he needs to request that Susan and Michelle both listen to this portion of this meeting This is not what we would. In the future, we need to go and we need to use the Minnesota League of Cities. They don't charge us either.
Well, that being said, any other opinions of the report, definitely state them. I mean, because we need to hear, we need to have a response to this.
I mean, it was like an olive branch given to the team, and I'm saying everybody. And then it comes out with what she's showing there. I mean, the findings, there is, and, thaw. I mean, that's all that's in there. It was a hope that she took and just crushed. I mean, granted, it isn't, always working out, but there is just nothing there. And when we were all, and I'm going to use the word, and I told it to her, interrogated, because, and I said, if it isn't publicly put out, it's an interrogation. You're not asking for input that I can respond to. You're interrogating me. And I was not asked in this report, and I don't know if anybody was, other than maybe the council. I mean, it was your suggestion. But we weren't asked what questions should be asked, what we wanted to have put into that report as well. It seemed one-sided to begin with the whole process. I mean, again, I thought this was to help figure things out. If you don't take both sides, it seems pretty shaded,
So,
my opinion.
Am I hearing you correct? Cheryl, stay there for a second. Am I hearing you correct? And Mike and Shar and whoever else, is it because you haven't read the whole report? Is that where your frustration lies?
Yes, that's a start, but just even the start of it, granted, she has to have some base so she knows what to ask, what to look for, what to research. But even in our conversation, there wasn't anything that I can remember that she would have asked for input. Why wasn't everybody that was going to be spoken to had the opportunity to maybe make suggestions, or, that so she'd have a base? It just seemed like it was coming from just one side. I have never heard any of the staff that they were asked to put an input before this was actually, done.
I just text Susan and asked her if there was any way she could join this meeting, because I don't know how to respond to this, and maybe her response would be a partial response. I don't know if she's going to be able to.
I mean, we all want to be happy in our job, and I think being happy in a job is always good teamwork. I try to treat everybody fair, and I think, there needs to be a little bit more openness. I mean, she just kind of added to not transparency.
Michelle made the statement that her and Susan were good friends, to me, during one of our interviews.
I don't know if anybody knows, but I wasn't even interviewed for that, so I'm not part of it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I wasn't interviewed, but.
Go ahead, Pat.
Pat Netco, 36084 County Road 66. I listened to that whole report when she was here, and what I heard was that you guys at that time got, for a few minutes, the unredacted version, and then she collected them all and said that that would be available at a later time. It seems to me that if the city paid for this report to be done, that all the people who were interviewed should be at a round table with the full report and be able to ask their questions and address that. It doesn't necessarily need to go to all the public because of private information. However, it would seem to me that you should request that they sit down with every one of you at a round table here with the full unredacted report and go over it, because that's what you paid for.
Right. So,
Pat,
And
Pat, one
Pat,
second.
I agree with you. But one thing I just want to say is, there are a number of people have said this study was supposed to bring us together. Well, it wasn't a study. It was what we did with the results of it. We haven't done anything. So, I mean, what Pat suggested, a roundtable, get together and talk. I just think that the study itself wasn't supposed to magically cure all of our ails and make everyone happy. It was supposed to be a jumping off point for us to address what she observed.
Right, and it seems to me that this roundtable should have happened immediately after the study, and then all these bad feelings and the negativity and all this stuff wouldn't have had a month or two to fester.
Well, but it was not in the report. There was not one negative thing said about anybody on the council.
Aaron,
was a
speak
good
up,
job.
please.
You have to talk into your microphone, she can't hear you.
Well, I thought I was. I had it pretty close. It's, the report was a hit job. There was nothing in there about
Well,
council.
I'm not
And
gonna get
you would
involved in
know as
that
well as I do,
conversation. I don't-
council needs to be addressed.
I think the whole group who, not just, I think the whole group who was interviewed to get the results of this report should sit down with the people who made the report with the unredacted version and ask and answer, get questions and get it figured out.
Pat, it's interesting because we were given, after the meeting, the unredacted report. And we were told that we cannot discuss it with anybody, even other members of the council. So it is for our information only to do nothing with.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Well, that's the direction that we had.
Well, that's why you
Is
should
that
go
not
back
true,
to
you guys?
them.
Dave's spot on that. It's all weird.
So I can't talk to Jackson, I can't talk to anybody about it.
Well, that needs to be changed.
I agree with you.
I don't even think we've gotten a bill.
Shouldn't have.
Yes, Patty?
I just have a couple comments. Patty Norgard, 37104 Bunkhouse Road, Cross Lake. I sat at that meeting and listened to the whole report, and my takeaway was that there is nothing that can be done to bring this council and staff closer together by what she said tonight. And in fact, Dave and I had coffee one morning, and I told him, I said, it would not be surprising to me if nothing was done. If nothing was done, because how do you put something together with that report? I would hate to think that I participated as a taxpayer for Michelle's fee.
Yeah.
And I would not have her back as a mediator at all.
No.
And I agree that, the roundtable is necessary, but you don't come to a roundtable hurting people's feelings and complaining about them. You have a mediator who can identify the problem, ask the specific questions, and bring about a consensus on how you're going to move together as a unit. And I told Mayor Dave that I said, personally, I think the city is getting tired of this negativity that is constantly in the paper. It's putting a bad light on Cross Lake. And we are one of the high points of all of the smaller communities in Crow Wing County. And so we all agree that we have to change, but I think the critical piece is how we get there. And believe me, I would not, I'm sure Michelle does her job that she's been told to do, but I would not have her back as a mediator, and I would not have Susan, your labor attorney. They're too close. They're too close.
As a mediator, you mean, Susan?
As a mediator.
I'm questioning having her for anything.
Yeah, well, that's another term.
Well,
You always have, Aaron.
huh?
You always have questions.
And I just have, can I just ask a couple more questions?
Sure.
So when we talk about this community is too small for a full-time fire chief, are we looking at the 2750 taxpayers here? Because our community is large. We have a 10 to 15% population almost 9 months out of the year now. And those people, most of those people, do not have a vote. So if there's a fire over on someplace that's a seasonal, okay, yeah, Chip, you don't have to go there. Okay, and that's a side note. The other thing that I had in there is, so keep in mind that we are not a 2750 community. We are a large community, and it is growing. The other thing I wanted to ask Aaron was, when you gave your statistics about the salaries in
Yes.
communities such as ours, what would it cost us to repay our current chief? To replace him?
I couldn't even.
Wait, say
start
that
to
again,
answer
Patty, to replace
What
what?
would it cost to replace Chip if he left?
Oh, yeah, right.
What would it cost us?
Well, number one, we're going to spend a lot more money on training, because if he leaves the city, then the training goes elsewhere, and we have to send our people, we have to lodge them, we have to pay them travel time.
Yeah, we pay for training now, Aaron.
It doesn't, okay.
I think the
Well,
general
I'm glad to
question
hear
is,
that.
what would it cost this city to replace
Just
them?
to replace Chip?
Yeah,
I
just to
couldn't even-
replace them.
I couldn't even begin to answer that question, Patty.
Absolutely.
I couldn't.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point. And I think you made a great decision when we talk about police chiefs. I mean, hey, listen, everybody's competing for the same thing. Cities our sizes are competing for city administrators, they're competing for fire chiefs, they're competing for police chiefs. So we are not 2750 voting anymore. We are much larger.
Yeah.
And then my last thing is, we heard at the last council meeting a request for the potential of adding to our election staff. And I have no opinion one way or the other. The information was coming from this particular group. I would highly suggest that every council member listen to the county commissioner board that met at 9 a.m. the morning after our council meeting. You need to hear that. You need to listen to
Okay,
them.
Patty, this really isn't, we shouldn't be talking about this
Okay,
right now.
so
So-
that's fine. So that was just my comment. That was all. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, though.
Yep, thanks, Patty.
Can I say one more thing about the report?
Sure.
I went to a clerks meeting 2 weeks ago, and I embarrassingly was the talk of the meeting because that article was in the paper about how we have no record-keeping system and no personnel files, and it was really embarrassing. I mean, the clerks obviously laughed about it because they know it's not true, but it was in the paper, and they read it, and it was just ridiculous.
Well, Shar, I'm sorry that you were subjected to that, and, that's all I can say about that.
Yeah, I feel like we need an explanation for some of this, but, then the other side of here, we don't want to hear from them anymore, so I'm not sure what to do with it. I'll definitely have a conversation with Susan after this and ask them both to watch it and figure out some kind of response. I don't know what else to do.
Can you just totally null and void the report? I mean, it sure doesn't seem like we can really rectify any of the report.
The first thing that has to happen is anybody that was interviewed has to get an unredacted copy so they understand what was said, what was or was not said, okay? Otherwise you're...
My impression of that is that it's illegal to do, so.
Well, I question that. I seriously question that, and I don't think Susan's going to give us the honest answer. I'm considering writing to the state of Minnesota and asking for an opinion.
Well, that'd be good.
Well, I personally liked Patty's suggestion about a roundtable, if we can have a, unredacted version, each of us, from the report and take from it what we can. Maybe get a mediator. Jackson, I think there was a follow-up recommendation of people within the Minnesota League of Cities that could even act as a mediator.
Correct.
Step in. I mean, I think, we might want to follow that course of action.
It's just now planning a course of direction that we take. I mean, there's several that you can do. Do we first kibosh this report? I wouldn't feel comfortable taking this report and doing a mediation session just based on the report that we have. It's totally one-sided. It's which direction do you go at this
I don't want
point?
to kibosh the report until we get an explanation of it. I want to, right now, we're on attack mode of the reporters, and I want to hear a response. See what it is.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But I still think we need to provide it, because how does anybody defend themselves on anything or discuss anything? intelligently and without knowing.
I agree. Susan,
legally know, Aaron.
Susan called and asked me if she, if I, since I kind of had this whole deal, if I was comfortable with the unredacted report going to city staff that was involved. And I told her that's the way it should have been from the get-go. So I don't know if I can legally do this. If I can't, I don't know. But I'd like to make a motion that all city staff involved in the report gets an unredacted copy.
From who?
From Susan. That's my motion.
From Susan, wouldn't it come from Michelle?
No, it would come from Susan because she has the unredacted copies.
Susan sent us the.
Michelle's long gone. She
Okay.
hasn't answered any of my emails or anything. She's gone.
Yeah, she's done.
So that's my motion.
I seconded it.
So I would support that. I guess it's up to Susan whether it's legal to do that or not. I think
She
that
told
has
me
been-
that we could not do it because of people that are in the report that are city staff, and it violates their rights. That's what I was told.
How do they defend themselves
That's
against
what I'm
some of
saying.
this
I'm not
stuff?
saying to make it public, even though that was my end goal, transparency, public government. But I'm fine with making it public within city staff, or, open, unredacted to city staff that was involved and interviewed in the report.
Well, I guess if the city staff is willing to waive their right to privacy, maybe that has to be done.
Yeah, that's a legal thing.
Right.
I mean, I'm certainly not opposed to them seeing it, but I'm not going to give it to them.
I'm not going to give it to them either. But I'm saying that, I guess that's where it's going to come down to, is Susan is going to have to contact those people and see if they want
Right.
it made public. I don't understand why anybody would not want it to be made public, but maybe that's where another disconnect is.
Well, Dave's going to contact Susan, and let's move forward. Or we'll be here till
Yeah.
Okay.
June.
Yeah, I'll just ask them to watch what happened here, and we need a response. We need some kind of
So do we need to vote on that?
direction
so it
on the
dies?
Yeah.
So we're going to vote on that.
I'm
Aaron?
going to contact her.
Well, we're just voting on what you and I first and seconded,
Yes.
but yes, you'll contact her.
Sandy?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Dave?
Yep.
Motion carries.
So now the next thing on the agenda is discuss training opportunities.
I have the lady's contact information as of 2 weeks ago. Because of the holidays, we have not been in contact. It's been a little phone tag. So after January 1st here, before January 8th meeting, I will have the rundown for January 8th.
And that is through the league,
Yes.
okay? So we don't have,
Have all of you gone to like what Shar does, the city clerks, what is that, a convention or regional, or Shar, is that a state convention or?
There's training all year long for
And there's
clerks.
council, there's training all over, there's a mayor's group, there's a lot of, and I think you take advantage of that because you can
And-
network.
And there is
I've done some
specifically
of
for
that,
council.
yeah.
There is specifically. I've gone to the first session. I have not gone to the advanced session. Be a good idea.
Cheryl?
Planning and zoning does regional meetings, we go to them, and we go to training.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think that the training opportunities will come on the 8th when you get a
Correct.
report, so I don't know that there's a lot that we can do there.
Right.
So number 7 is discuss the performance evaluation and the process. So do we want to discuss
I
that?
think we need to delay it until we get answers for this.
Well, isn't it normal to have like performance evaluations on
Every
a
year.
regular basis?
I agree, but are we basing it off this report, or are we basing it on our own opinion?
We're basing it on our own opinion.
Yeah, because we've already read the report, we're not going to be able to erase that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's based on our own report, or our own opinions, and we're not basing it off the report, I'd be fine with that, because it's a yearly thing.
Well, I would hope that you would look through a report and still have your own opinion. And
Oh, I do, right. I just didn't know how it worked.
Yeah.
Okay, then I would like to see council sit down and put that evaluation together, and we come in with a consolidated report. The last report, we had some council members had, Mike had lead weights tied to both ankles and his neck and was buried underwater about 100 feet, and other ones had him walking on water. It was all over the board. I think we need to come together, give him a proper evaluation that is beneficial to him and to council, both, and we provide direction as where we feel that he should get it so that he has an opportunity to work and move forward in a productive manner for us and with us.
So you're saying,
Aaron, is it legal for us as a council to confer together?
Yes, we can on an evaluation. The only person that can open that up like that is him, is Mike himself. He's the only one that, he can say he wants it to be public and it's public, okay?
But that's the evaluation itself. That's not preparing.
But we can sit down and put it together and then do it. I believe for a personnel issue, we have that right.
so are you saying we're all going to do it together? Because
5 of us sit down, round table, and we discuss each item on the evaluation, and we come up with a score on it. If it's 1 to 5, we come up with whatever score is in there, and then if there's corrective action that's appropriate from it, we delineate what that corrective action is.
That sounds like an evaluation.
It is, that's what I'm
Okay,
trying to.
so we're not going to,
but
But I want the council to be unified when we come in, Dave. The last one, we weren't. It was like a shotgun going off in this
I
room.
hate to clue you in, but I got a feeling the council is not going to be 100% unified on everything we discuss.
I was
That's why it's a democracy. That's why there's 5 of us here.
But I might rate him out of 1 on something, you might rate him out of 5 on something, that's 2.5. You understand what I'm getting at?
Fine.
Well, Aaron, I just would like to confirm that we're not violating any open meeting, rules.
You're
if
not,
we-
because I did talk to Susan about it.
Okay.
And she said, as long as we are doing strictly his evaluation and we're going through it, but she wanted us to immediately go into the second part of it, and I don't think that's necessary.
What's the second part of it?
Where we sit with him.
Oh, no, I never heard that. We just are trying to do an evaluation. That should be done every year with every staff that's in this building.
I agree to that.
And I haven't seen any of that happen.
We don't
for-
see the staff, the
quite a
only
while.
one we see
So
is
just
his.
for a point of clarity, number 7, is that specific to me in my position or all staff? Because just for
Well,
your
this is
information,
specific to you because that's what we do. You do the rest of the staff.
and those have already been completed.
Okay, good. We haven't heard.
I'd like to see,
Yeah.
are we able to see those evaluations, Mike, of the other staff?
I've never been asked that question, but I can look into it.
Okay. I'd like to know how our city staff is evaluated.
I think that would, I guess I'm not trying to sound snotty, but I think that would just be a normal thing too. That's
It's
kind of what
not-
I had assumed.
It's not normal.
It's not normal?
No.
Because we're going to be looking through 16 evaluations. Every person that is employed here, we're going to sit down and go through their evaluations.
Plus
Our-
27.
I'm not saying
I don't think that's
have to,
appropriate.
Aaron.
That's
Just,
not our
I'm
job.
not,
That's his job.
Our responsibility as the council is to evaluate the administrator. End of story.
Okay.
We are supposed to do that every year. I have been sitting on this council for 7 years, and I have gone through it 1 time.
Yep.
So
Same here.
why we always have such a difficult time scheduling an evaluation blows my mind. It should be,
Because we went so far overboard and it was such a sham, the last one. I don't want this one to be a sham. I want this one to be absolutely legitimate in whatever decision we
I think
come
that's
from.
up to you, you know? We still
I'm
have
a
to go
member of
through the
this council. I
process.
have a right
Maybe-
to an opinion.
Well, you are having an opinion, but you're kind of shutting the process down with your opinion.
I'm not.
Well,
I'm all game for a evaluation. If we need to do it, we need to do it. But I just want to make sure it's our own opinions and we're not validating a
we can have the roundtable and
report.
discuss if that's a good process.
I just want to make sure we're not validating a report that multiple people have said is not accurate.
During this
Jackson, I don't think it has
evaluation-
anything to do with the report.
During this evaluation, it's up to the city administrator whether he wants it public or private.
Correct.
So I think that if we had it public, I think some of our discussions would probably be limited. I think if it was private, the discussions would probably be more, but that's totally up to him. You know,
I agree.
but I just.
So do we
don't-
want to do it, set a date? Do we want to stay with next week? What's the,
I've got an appointment that afternoon,
okay.
and I need to be at that, so by the time we're done with the labor attorneys, my day is done.
And I think with what just transpired about 45 minutes ago, I think that's going to throw a wrench into some things too.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we should reschedule for tentatively a week and a half, 2 weeks after that date. I'm just trying to think of,
Bring a calendar.
planning on that aspect and that end.
Why do we make that decision on January 8th? That's only, what, 9, 10 days
That's fine,
away?
that's fine.
So what was scheduled for the 4th?
It was suggested that we do his evaluation
Okay.
after the attorney interviews.
Oh, are we still going to, we'll still do the attorney interviews?
Yeah, I'm fine with them.
That's
It's, I have to be out of here by
9 and
noon.
10?
Before noon.
For some reason, I did not get that information, so what is the time and the date for those?
9 o'clock and 10 o'clock.
On the 4th?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we'll reschedule something at the meeting on the 8th. Got it.
Okay, so this will take place in March sometime.
I don't think March.
You can do it a lot earlier than that.
See how it goes. Okay, I think that's all we had on our agenda. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Well, go, I guess you got a roll call, huh?
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Jackson? Dave?
Yep.
Motion carries.